from one angle now, we are trying to stay on topic. So this attempt to not deviate, not to randomly associate ideas and thoughts and connections with everything and deviating, that's an effort of the intellectual part of the intellectual center, the King of Diamonds. Actually, in this kind of meeting or circle that we do, especially for the round of knowledge, it's a good practice to, you may have all kind of eyes and all kind of associations and you want to say about this, what you observed and noticed, but it can get spread and spreading thin. So staying on topic that is rare these days, and it's a good effort and strengthening of the intellectual center. Another thing is that when usual people, they talk, you can see as with friends, of course there's the emotion center involved connecting, but then usually it goes one association to another, and if you were to trace back the intellectual content, it's just associative, random, meandering. So that's a good example of operating from the jacks in either modern society or regular. There's no requirement on that unless you are in academia or something like that. It has this some type of going towards the wrong work of certain exercises that you can observe, some tendencies that are very mechanical. Is we used to have this to watch for these opposite eyes. When somebody shares something, then we may have a thought like, yeah, but this and that, saying the opposite, contradicting right away. That's a good, we used to have an exercise in the other school where we will watch and refrain from opposite eyes right away, as well as at least allocating some time where we are not associating. It's a good exercise, even with a friend, you can be relaxed and all of that, but have half an hour where you are, at least, even if you meander, that's interesting, even if you meander and you go to conversation, at least observe how they say this, and then this evokes some other eye linked to that goes to something else. Another exercise we used to have is to swallow the first eye. When you meet or you talk to someone and they ask you something, or you are with some people in a group, and then something comes, that's one eye, to let it pass. Also, usually this eye that wants to be said is linked also to a sense of other emotional tendencies and being seen or recognized. It's interesting to simply watch that and let it go as an exercise. I'm not sure if it is accurate, but from what I remember, one good way to strengthen the intellectual center and to provide a more favorable context for self-remembering is to stop thoughts. Have a certain period, not all the time of course, but have a certain period on the clock where one is as present as possible to the inner world and the outer world, and just notice how this comes and it wants to connect to other things, and we go in a so-called imagination, and to interrupt it, drop it, just drop it, delete. From one angle, from all angles, due to the low state of consciousness and the weak intellectual center, the ultimate wrong work is this state of daydreaming, or as we call in the fourth way, imagination. That is wrong work of the intellectual center. Going back a little bit, you can see when people go to school, first grade, second grade, even before, there starts to be the development of the intellectual center, and even before, where we are told, oh, this is an oak tree, this is yellow, this is a duck, this is Popeye. So we are getting the concept, we are having a concept to a something, and that is unavoidable and it's okay. But in the modern world, that is big emphasis put on that. And then what happens, that's why now we go in nature, or going in a walk, trying to be present, or do the looking exercise, there will be association, commentary. This is due to this over-exercised labeling, and we don't see that magnificent phenomenon. We call it, we don't see the thing, and we see the concept of it. And then we think we know. And it's interesting that also the kings, they have a sword. If I remember correctly, they have a sword. They have a sword in their hand. And I guess associating with non-duality, because I feel these are connected, very connected. They don't speak about centers in non-duality, traditional Advaita. However, the traditional Advaita has a very strong use of using the higher, they call it higher reasoning, or viveka, or discrimination. They want to strengthen this higher capacity of the intellect to discern through things. And actually the study of the system is a very good way to strengthen the intellectual center. And also the study of the system and materials and stuff like that, they will inspire us, so they will fuel the work, will fuel the emotional center. That's why study of the system, study of ideas, discussing about these ideas in an intentional way, they strengthen our work. In terms of this discrimination, even this, as there's this knowledge, and then we can verify that they are thoughts, they are feelings, but they come and go, and I'm not them. There's a call in non-duality, neti, not this, I'm not that, because they go and something remains, so I is on the side of that which doesn't come and go. And to have verified that, then this is a sword. And then when things are swarming us and all of this, we can use this higher reasoning, or with a deep emotional state, we are struggling with it, they are enmeshed with it, they are suffering it, and then we can have a work eye that will remind us to, this is not me, but still allow it, but this is not me. There's another non-dual pointer would be that there is no me in this feeling. This feeling is in me as this which is aware. For myself, I noticed that, let's say I need to prepare for a topic or something, it requires effort. So to be in the king of diamonds requires effort. And for me, I noticed that I'm loosely thinking about this topic, but then I need to drop it somehow and kind of relax and be present. And then it comes to me. So it comes from another level. I have the main ideas, but then if I just go with the main ideas, will be some just regurgitating and being with them, and then the higher idea will form itself. That's my operating system, which I'm not intellectual centered. But I remember that when I was visiting Francis, and he has a very strong intellectual component. I'm not sure what's his center of gravity, but he was not in the kitchen, but it was his computer. There was a page put down, and I was curious, and I was curious, like I wanted to see what was on this page of Francis' computer, and I turned the page, and there was a whole thing of equations, mathematical equations. And then at breakfast, I asked him, I said, what is that? He said, oh yeah, I just do this sometimes. It's kind of enjoyable to do some equations. His intellectual center is different, and yeah. There's another idea here they speak in Buddhism. So before they train people to go into meditation, and from one angle, meditation is being aware of being and everything else. That is not possible if there is not enough attention, there's not enough concentration. And when we start the work, there is not enough ability to focus attention and concentrate. Therefore, that's why people sit to meditate, and then it's like frustrating because it goes all over the place like a ship without a rudder, blown by wind of every thought and every story. Watch out for this tendency to now just study these ideas and think about it all the time. At the same time, it's important to develop some ability to concentrate. And concentration is actually what Peter said. Concentration is this part of the machine, the intellectual part of the King of Diamonds, the intellectual part of the emotion center. That's the noble desire of the heart, dedicated to the work or to reaching truth or God or being more awake. And as even in a sport, as in tennis or something, you learn something and you need to concentrate. And it is important to have some aims or something. That's why this no stopping thoughts and being very present, that requires effort, and it's a way of developing concentration, without which we can't really go into this global sense of presence.